Welcome everyone to another episode of Track Talk Live. As you know, it's a joint collaboration with the Mr. Analyst channel and Sports Talk Tech. As usual, I'm joined by veteran sports journalist Leighton Levy, and I'm Dwaine from Sports Talk Tech. Here's the thing. If you haven't subscribed to both of our channels, now use this opportunity to do so. It's one of the best decisions you'll make this year, and you'll never regret it. Anyway, Leighton, how you doing? I know you've been a busy man. You're at basketball all over the place.
Tired. Gibson on Saturday, Jamaica basketball on Sunday. Got home well after midnight. I mean, it was up hanging out with some of the players after the game. Well, the post-match press conferences. There are actually on my TikTok page a couple of the post-match comments from the Canadian coaches and player. Michael, the coach is actually, his parents are Jamaican, right. And Carr, both his parents are Jamaican as well. He was the leading scorer for Canada with 17 points. And of course, Rick Turner and Tyron De La Tiboudiere for Jamaica. I have some other videos to put up from that post match, right. But do that tomorrow. But it was a hectic weekend, enjoyable in many respects, but taxing. I'm not so young anymore.
Yeah, I hear you. But since that's the case, and thanks everybody for coming through. I see some people coming through on your channel too, and our channel over here as well. I think it's fitting we probably start with some USA nationals. I want to start with Noah Lyles. I guess we should really start with Jordan Anthony, but Noah Lyles talking big in a way his legs couldn't really back this time. I like Noah. I know you and I have a lot of time for Noah Lyles because I think he's good for the sport in terms of the way he tries to push the boundaries, and he's been sporting this UFC style, wrestling style belt all season, and I don't think he intended to give the belt up, but he had to give it up to Jordan Anthony, who is continuing to showcase how good he is over 60 meters. And so your thoughts on Anthony winning the U.S. National Championships in 6.45 seconds ahead of Trayvon Bromell, who got out well, and then Lyles third in 6:51. Lyles obviously not going to the World Indoor Championships because of his impending wedding to...
Wedding.
Yeah.
Donald Bromfield. Yeah. Look, we saw... Jordan Anthony run 6:43 this season.
Right.
And you kind of saw from that he was going to be probably the guy to beat this year indoors. Well, certainly indoors. And he's lived up to that expectation. It's one of the things that, you have a certain mentality that defines or separates the potentially and the great athletes from the rest of the pack. And I think he's demonstrating that. I think for a first-year pro, he's extremely confident, and of course, that belt is something from the pure athletics camp where the person who wins the fastest time that week wins the male and female. We get the belt. But that said, 6:45 is 6:45. I mean, it's pretty quick, and it's clear that he's probably going to be one of the favorites for World Indoor Championships. Trayvon Bromell, we know Trayvon Bromell's talents from a long time. He's the man who's bounced back so many times from injury and all kind of different setbacks. 6:47 again. If you remember Trayvon Bromell a few years ago, I think it was he who beat Asafa Powell at the World Indoor Championships after Asafa looked so good leading up into the final. So I think it was a good race. It was quite intense, quite close. I don't know if it speaks to anything in terms of Noah's deterioration because it's indoors. I don't think it mattered much to him this year. He's already had said from early season that he wasn't going to go World Indoors. So this was probably just a training run for him. 6:51. And, it goes back to training. I don't think he was particularly serious about this particular objective of winning at the U.S. Nationals. He would have loved to win, but I don't think he had the mentality going in there other than to say, okay, get some races in and see what's happening in terms of my development this season, my progress this season, because he's clearly bigger. We can see that he's obviously bigger. So maybe not as explosive as he would have liked to have been carrying around the extra weight for this, so far this indoor season. But for Jordan Anthony, He's a real deal. So far this season, he looks like the man who is the man to beat, and I think his execution was on point. What I liked
Right.
about him is that he never looked like he was under stress whatsoever, and that's a key factor for me because if you're winning, it's a close race, 645 to 647. That means Trevor was right there,
Yeah.
but he never looked bothered. That's the thing for me. He always it was always like, yeah, I'm going to win this. Whoever wants come second, it doesn't matter. And so yeah, so he's going to be the man. I think. I think he's going to be the man to beat in Poland.
No, he certainly
Yeah,
is.
he looks
643. There's some okay performances, I'd imagine, on the men's side internationally. The better performances come out of the US collegiate circuit, and I'm not quite
Yeah.
sure if the likes of Ajayi will show up for Nigeria at the World Championships. He also has a 645, and we can get to him later.
Yeah.
At the risk, I mean, shout out to Anthony, because it's never easy to kind of transition into your first year into a camp like that. That is a tough environment. You don't often know. And so far you have to give him an A plus, I would imagine.
Yeah,
We'll see
absolutely.
what he's done there. But at the risk, I was thinking about this today, at the risk of Noah Lyles being, I guess, a pastiche of himself, because, he's been out all season, riling up the crowd in some interesting ways. Jerry took care of him again here. And if you go back to the World Championships over the 100 meters where he saw that oblique look and he's saying the man was panicking in the back. I know all of those things are separate, but there's a connection there that if you continue to mouth off like that in that way, you have to start delivering again. And I'm not saying he won't deliver when he gets to outdoors, but how cautious he has to be with this, because I think when he gets excited, the mouth just goes a bit unchecked.
Yeah. That's Noah, right? It's one of the things that I think a lot of people like about him, a lot of people hate about him as well, is that he talks a lot. For the most part, he backs up his talk with what he does on the track. The sense I get with Noah is that this is a year where there isn't really much at stake.
Right.
So he's kind of having fun. As he said it earlier in the season, he's having fun this season. He's getting married in just over a month's time. I think April 4th, I think, is the wedding.
Something like that.
I don't think he is as locked in this year as he would have been had this been a championship year. So he's doing his best to keep the hype going, to keep the vibe going as best as he can. Because that's who he is. I mean, that's to a lot of people, and to me, sometimes it comes off as being contrived.
Right.
But I think he's just having fun and trying to be the guy who generates eyes and generates interest in the sport. But I don't think he's locked in this. He doesn't seem, well, certainly not this indoor season. It doesn't seem locked in at all, because I don't think there's anything at stake for him now. If he goes to the the Ultimate Championship at the end of the season, maybe that's something that he probably want to focus on because he want to go win there. He doesn't have Commonwealth Games, so the only next best thing is the Diamond League, where he'll most likely come up against Oblique Seville, Kishian Thompson, and of course Bryan Levell. How he does there, I think, will be an indicator of what we can expect from him as he builds towards 27 and 2028. I think he'd probably want to come into the outdoor season looking to probably reestablish himself as the number one guy, because that's Noah. I mean,
yeah,
you're not a world champion four times and a 100-meter champion, Olympic champion, without having some level of ego about you. So he's going to want to reestablish himself outdoors and try to pull off some victories against Oblique, try to beat Kishian, take on the newcomer over 200 in Bryan Levell and other comers as well, and Jordan Anthony as well.
Right.
But for now, I don't think his focus is where at anything on the track right now. I think he's just having fun and looking forward to getting married to Jonielle and then see what comes come the outdoor season in May.
No, I agree with you. I think, 100%. Speaking of athletes reestablishing themselves.
One second, let me just answer something from objectivity. Jamaica doesn't usually have trials for
indoors,
world indoors.
Yeah.
It's the athletes who make themselves available and who have the qualifying standards. If they're available, the J3s will pick them. If not, it is what the case. I mean, we've seen over the time, we've seen Asafa tried a couple of years. Elaine won 1 year, Shelley won 1 year back in 2014, and after that, she's never even considered looking back at it again. It's a situation where it all depends on the athletes, what they want, what the objectives are for the coach. For example, if Stephen Francis thinks it benefits his girls and guys for going world indoors and probably running and testing themselves over the first 60 to test the different phases of the early phases of their races, that's the objective. But I don't think the JC is that, as far as I recall, I don't think they've ever had trials for world indoors. It's just about selecting who are qualified and who want to go. So, like, for example, Akeem Blake, we know, is selected.
He also
and I
has a
think
bye too,
they're
right?
planning,
Yeah.
he has a bye too, so so they're planning to send him. I think Megan mentioned to me that she wants to go to world indoors. Know that she's had some success, running indoors, because she hasn't run indoors in a while before this year. And I'm not quite sure who else is going. I'm not sure if any of the collegiate athletes that we have, the Mario Prince who ran 7:46 over the weekend, Dejanay Oakley, I don't know if any of them are interested. I'm going to reach out to them in the next couple of days anyway. So I'll be able to be more informed then about whether or not they're interested in going to world indoors, because the reality is, well, if you're hearing more than me, because I haven't heard of anything. Probably because the J3 doesn't send out these things until the last minute. So I don't know, but I haven't heard anything whether or not there's going to be any form of trials. But I could be wrong. But we'll see.
Yeah,
If I hear anything objective, if I hear anything, I'll let you guys know. But I haven't heard anything of that nature.
All right, let's just finish off 60 at U.S. Championships and go to a woman that I guess has seen a bit of a redemption. Jacia Sears, she won the U.S. National Championship. Lots of talent, we know this, injury prone, but got herself on top of the U.S. National Championship there, so she will represent the United States, and you have to put her in the mix at the World Indoors. We've already talked about the likes of Julian Alfred and Zainab Dosso. Yeah, both of them clocking 699. The likes of Evander Verken there from Luxembourg also in the low 701s. And now, Sears is there. I'm not quite sure what the Brits will do. And you saw Amy Hunt running really special the other day, but I don't know if she'll run there. So you have to think that Sears is really in the mix for a medal.
She is. I mean, there are 5 women, I think, or 6 women who are under 705 this year.
Right.
Just so Sears around 703 and 704. She looks good. She looks like she's getting back to the athlete around 1077 a few years ago. Sears' mother is Jamaican. So she's not a first. Yeah. Her mother is Jamaican. So yeah, but she's I think she'll be in the mix. I think if you're look with the 60 meters, you can't really say anyone is a strong favorite because anything can go wrong in the 60. And it's not like the 100 where you have time to recover. It's not that, it's not that kind of race. So yeah, she's in the mix. If she can get down to 702 or 701 or 7 flat, which is very possible. She's in the mix, clearly. I mean, right now the favorites are Dosso and Julian for sure, because they're the only ones who have broken 7 seconds this year. But you can't rule out Jesus. You can't rule out Dina. You can't rule out Amy Hunt. I think Hunt is going actually.
Yeah. I don't think you can rule out even Van der Verken and those athletes because they could show up. Even Eva Saboda ran a really good race over the Polish national champions this week. A little bit further away, but it's one of those things where they have the experience and you never know, right?
I just get this feeling though that the little runner, as they call her, I think her best is past her. I mean, look, she has been good for a long time from she was a junior. But I think these girls are just too fast now, it seems. Because when you look at her times from last year coming to this season, they haven't been particularly great.
Right. And
this season, she's what, 70, 709? I'm trying to remember the time that she's run this year. But they haven't been close.
707. She has a 707.
Yeah. So it's not close to the fastest woman in the world this year. So maybe, I mean, she's gonna be there, and she'll most likely be in a final. But does she win, or does she end up on the podium? I don't see it right now, but
Right.
who knows? I don't.
The thing I would say is that I'm excited for this because if all the women show up, we could get multiple women clocking sub 7 seconds in a world championship, and that is something that the sport is always needing, especially because you get hit and miss years in terms of how athletes think about the importance of the 60 meters.
Objectively, to answer your question, there won't be any trials for indoors.
Right. So you heard it here first. No trials in Jamaica. Yeah, it's never been that way, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Dynamic is also agreeing with you. She's regressed a bit this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree on that. Yeah. All right. We can go back to U.S. championships at some point, but if people want to, we'll certainly get back to a couple more things there. But I want to touch on something that we've been talking about. I want to call it pole vault mania, Leighton, because last week when we did the show, we spoke about the additions to the 6 meter club. We talked about Volkov there going 6:01, Curtis Marshall also going 6, and the need for the 6 meter club to grow. Then we got another addition this year, Zach Bradford at the United States Championship going 6:01, winning ahead of Casey Lightfoot and Chris Nielsen. But the excitement isn't that we have new members in the 6 meter club. It's about seeing a Mondo world lead get decimated by Emmanuel Carolis. And I don't know what to say. 6:17, now the second highest clearance in the history of the sport. Obviously, only Mondo has gone further. He's now moved past Lavinier, Bukka. And the scary part is when you look at the jump, he's not done. There's space there. And if I'm being honest, I never thought that his ceiling would be this high. I thought he could get up to maybe 6:15, but to jump 6:17 already, I don't know what to say, Leighton.
You know what the scarier part is? He attempted 6:31 twice. So, so he believes now clearly that he can take on the world record. If he didn't believe that, he wouldn't have tried it. So he obviously feels that what is happening clearly is that he's feeling it. He's jumping well. He cleared 6:07 prior to the 6:17. He already won and said, you know what, let's go for it, 6:17. And when you look at what has been happening to him since about 2023, he has made significant advances. I think he moved from 586 to 60. I don't remember, but it was like 580 something, and up to now 6:17. Each year he's added somewhere between 8 and 14 centimeters to the heights. So he's in a zone right now where he's feeling it. His confidence is high. As he said after the meet, he's having the time of his life.
Right.
So clearly he's feeling something is going right with his training, which is with his competitions. And the fact that he made 2 attempts at the world record at 6:31 tells you that is in his mind. And that, for me, it's exciting because in that conversation that we had previously, I said that if more people are getting to those levels, then they could probably challenge Mondo because the advantage that Mondo has is that he can start later than everybody else.
Right.
But he doesn't burn out as much. He doesn't burn as much energy. And the reality is that if he now knows that he has to jump earlier, maybe he becomes a little bit more vulnerable. Maybe not, but the possibility exists, and that's what makes the pole vault more exciting now.
It certainly does, and he's making strides, as you say. 2023 is a 586 man. 24 goes 6. He joins the 6 meter club. Last year he goes to 6:08. Now it's 6:17. Those aren't normal. Those are big time improvements over his vaulting there, and I like it because if Mondo has to wake up and start jumping earlier, and if more men are going 6 meters and feel comfortable going there, you never know. Maybe we'll get to that ceiling of the pole vault, which I don't know what that is, because every year Mondo surprises us on that. I don't know if it's 635. I don't know where it is.
I'm thinking it's not far from 635. I think probably right now for everybody, including Mondo, the ceiling is like probably 640. Because when Mondo cleared 631, you could see there was enough space.
Yeah.
For him to get in a few more centimeters. So maybe 640 is where the ceiling is for this current generation. Who knows? But maybe Mondo might surprise. But for those watching who are interested in the Nicaragua World Cup qualifying game with Jamaica's women, Jamaica's Bunny Shaw scored to make it 2-1. It was 1-1 at halftime. Nicaragua had gotten a penalty and scored. Bunny equalized shortly thereafter. And of course, Bunny scored again. Her 62nd goal for Jamaica. Makes her the leading scorer for Jamaica at any senior level, male or female.
All right. I mean, she's an outstanding athlete and outstanding footballer. And imagine she also had that big. She was out for a while with injury a few years ago. Too. Yeah. So
that's last year, actually.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. Maybe we go back a little bit in the college thing. I want to touch on two things in the collegiate area, and we can touch on a number of things, obviously. As many people would have seen this weekend, Louis Henschliff went back to the University of Houston, which is one of those interesting things that I'm not sure I fully support all of these athletes returning, but the NCAA has changed rules a lot now. We've seen it a lot with basketball. And so he's back, and Carl Lewis has this funny arrangement where he doesn't coach athletes unless they're enrolled or they haven't graduated. And he left. He took a professional deal. Now he's under an approved NIL deal, and he's back. Ran at the Big 12 championships. Didn't do as well as he probably wanted to, but he's been out of he's coming back from injury, finishing 6th. But I guess so maybe you can touch on that if you want, Leighton, but the talking point has to be Snow. Snow, 6:46 is the second fastest time in NCAA history, third fastest time in the world this year. And obviously we've seen Ajayi also with a 6:45.
45, yeah.
Yeah, which is, joining the times that's been there before. Snow is an interesting athlete, because what he did at the Big 12 championships is outrageous, right? You're talking about winning the hurdles at 7:43,
and then coming and running
6:46. What do we make of him? Because he's an athlete that I believe his PB is 13:30 over the 110, and he has a 10:04 into a 10.04, I believe, over the flat 100 meters. He's a special athlete, isn't he?
Yeah, look, and when you have an athlete who's capable of doing these things, multidisciplinary in terms of their skill sets, you have to wonder whether or not he's one of those guys who are going to break out in a big way, in whichever event, because clearly he has the speed. That is not an issue. And he has the technique for the hurdles. I mean, his technique isn't perfect, but whose technique is perfect over the hurdle? The thing is this: often at the collegiate level, we saw Cardell Tinch, we saw Cunningham. We've seen a lot of collegiate athletes over the years demonstrate these kind of qualities, and then chosen one that they think best suits them. He now has that option, I think, because clearly he has the speed. And if I were him, it's a difficult decision, because look, if you go into the flats, you have a whole bunch of people that he has to get past to be on the podium in the 100. In the hurdles, it's even worse. Yeah. So because you have Tinch, you have Cunningham, you have Holloway's going to come back, you have what's his name, Britt, you have Beard, you have a lot of guys there. So maybe Jamaica will score their third goal. You'll see something here where he joins the ranks of those elite really classy elite hurdlers. So it's when you look at him, you really don't know what to choose.
Yeah.
So I think it is. But one thing is clear: he's extremely talented. and you don't do what he did on the weekend and not be talented at that level because, yeah, I mean, the guy is one of them bosses where he's kind of like Holloway in a way because remember in college, Holloway did everything.
Yeah.
But this guy is really good at both events. So the reality is that maybe the already deep pool of global sprint hurdlers is going to get even deeper now. And just to on that point, I mean, the Mario Prince ran 6:46 on the weekend as well, for Baylor University. So Jamaica's pool is getting deeper as well. And for those who might not know who she is, former Manchester High School hurdler Tony Forbes.
Right.
Ran 791 on the weekend, which is a big personal best for her as well. And just to round off that, Onika Wilson won her 4th ACC title in the sprint hurdles. Time wasn't particularly great. I think it was 8:12.
8:12,
yeah. 8:12 or something like that. But still, winning four ACC titles is fantastic. So kudos to them all.
The Tonian look really good. We have to give her that. And since we're on the collegiate stuff, let's finish off with Shanice Walker, right? ACC double this year as well. 7:13 and 22:98 over 200 meters. Yeah.
Her second time under 23 seconds this season, which speaks to what she had told me in our interview that she's stronger this year. I haven't spoken to her since. I congratulated her. She responded, but I think she probably would have hoped to have gone faster than the 7:13 because she had run 7:09 earlier this season.
Yeah.
So she was probably thinking I'm going below that, but she won anyway. So a nice sprint double for her, validating her NIL contract with Adidas, and of course, validating her intentions to go pro at the end of the season. So kudos to her for that as well.
No, sensible. And if you haven't, go ahead. If you haven't caught Leighton's interview with Shanice Walker earlier maybe a few weeks ago, he throws them out these things so fast you can't keep up with when they come out. But it's certainly on his channel. It's a good watch for a number of reasons. You get the insight. You see, my take is that you see an athlete that's going to be a strong professional because a head screwed on in a way that you like to see. And also really kind of a likable individual as well.
Yeah, and she's really cool. Really, really cool girl. Yeah, and let me take this opportunity to mention Adeja Hodge.
Oh, yeah.
Remember Character Games 2022? She won here in Jamaica. Yeah, 22:32, which is a new national record for her and a world lead, actually.
Yeah.
So, remember, she's coming straight out of high school. This is her freshman year at Georgia.
Yeah.
So she's demonstrating that her talent at the junior level wasn't a fluke. She's a real deal. And I think by the time she's a sophomore or a junior, we could probably see her run 21 seconds over the 200 as well. So that's something to look forward to. I think she's really talented.
I mean, very much so, because we saw a few years ago at Carifta. Then she didn't come last year at Carifta. Was she injured last year or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, she picked up an injury. Yeah, she had an injury and then decided to pull her out.
Yeah.
But she's.
Yeah, she looks very dangerous, very dangerous.
Yeah, and she's leaner now. That's one of the things she's spending a lot of time in the gym, clearly, because she doesn't have this baby fat look about her. Right. Not fat, but a little chubby around. But yeah, but she's lean now. She looks like the real deal, and I think she's going to be the one to contend with in the years to come.
No, for sure. I think Jules 876 is saying hi to both of us. I see Dynamics is asking for Bryan Levell as well. We'll get to Bryan Levell in a second there. And some other Dynamic? Stuff at Gibson Relays, yeah. But let's I know this is not officially on the track, but it's something on the track. It just hit me again, and I want to make you unpack this in some interesting ways. So, the story came out that Briana Williams returned to Atto, but I have to say, it's not like Leighton is not on top of these things, but he's a man of esteem. When it comes to keeping sources and tight, he doesn't let it out unless he has to. And we must remember when Briana decided to leave Atom some years ago, you were the first to break that story. I remember it very well. You sent it to me, and I think I even did a video on the back of your story there. And now she's returned to Ato Boland. So talk us through this and talk us through it in the way of if you are concerned, right? So you and I have talked about this, but we know Atto is a busy man, right? But she knows what life under Atto Boland is ever since a junior. But he's a guy that is doing TV and he does a lot of other things. So there's always this concern whether he's capable of giving all his time and effort. And clearly she left because he wasn't capable of doing that, or he wanted that to happen. And now she's back. Your thoughts on the return? Do you think it's a good move? And what can we expect?
Yeah, Rocky, she didn't make national champion because she was tired. She had a long season last year. That's why when she came to trials, she did. But let me just get to Briana first. First of all, I don't know if you all saw my video when Briana talked about the relief effort that she was coming into Jamaica. I knew from then. She told me then. But then she asked me to keep it quiet. So I had, if I have nothing else, I have my integrity. I have many stories that I could actually talk about and write about and broadcast about, but I keep them because they were told to me in confidence, and I'm not going to do anything to breach that confidence. Yeah, but what I can tell you is this. What she did say to me at the time, it didn't seem as if John Smith was working out for her. What she intimated to me was that Otto understands her. Otto knows what makes her click. Otto's been coaching her since she was like 8 years old. It took her to 1092. And then she thought maybe, she needed to move on. The reality is that, they make these decisions. And when you're young and when you have opportunities, because remember, Briana won World Under 20 at 16 years old, a sprint double in Tampere, Finland in 2018. So she probably felt like she was going to be able to break through. But breaking through sometimes takes longer than we expected. Remember, we all thought about Usain Bolt, and when he ran 19.93, it took him 4 years before he got to the athletes what we saw for almost 10 years. So I think she probably just thought coming to Jamaica was going to be a good fit for her because she's always here anyway. It's a very comfortable environment. She has family here, and but it didn't work out for many reasons. And then she had some injury issues, and then of course there are other rumors about other things that I won't get into here. But John Smith had taken her. Remember, the week before trials or 2 weeks before trials, Briana had run at a meet in California and ran 11:03 and 11:04 on the same day. And they ran out 200 in 22:69, suggesting that she was going to come to trials and run really, really well. It never happened. And she's been struggling since that time. So I'm thinking that she maybe think sometimes it's best to go back home, because California is over there. Ato is based in Miramar. She lives in Miramar. She's familiar with the surroundings. Her home is there. And Ato is there. And that's the issue that you brought up, and a lot of people would often mention as well about Ato might not be finding time for her. This is not 1970s, 1980s, or 1990s. When she ran at trials, you remember that year when Elaine won in 1073, she had run 73, and Briana was third in 1092. Ato was there, right? Might not have been there in person, and several meets as well. But there's this thing, that thing called FaceTime, where he can actually watch her train, he can actually watch her run and see what's going wrong, analyze it, and then get back to her. So he doesn't necessarily need to be physically there. And I think she understands that and appreciates that, because if that wasn't the case, she would not have gone back to him. Right? And there's also something else, another issue that I can't reveal right now, why Ato is back into coaching. That is a situation where, I think there's a contracted agreement about that situation going public. So until that is made public, then I won't be able to speak about it. But there is a situation where he's back as a coach, but he has his other responsibilities that he finds time to do. He has the NFL camps, the speed camps that he operates, and of course he has his responsibilities with NBC, and he has other irons in the fire as well. He's an entrepreneur and a businessman, so he does these things. So I think generally, Briana feels like this is a good fit for her. He had an outing a couple of weeks ago. She ran 7:25 and 7:27. I think she came second in the final. But that is to me, and based on the conversations that I've had with her, a little bit of rust is involved, and a little bit of adjustments to new elements in her training program, that her body hasn't fully acclimatized to yet. I'm thinking that they're probably going to think we're running faster as the season progresses. And it's her first season back. And remember, she's still young. So I think Brianna's just 23 or 22.
Yeah, she'll turn 24 in March, I think. Yeah.
In March, yeah. So, it's not like she's 30 heading on 35.
Well, I guess we're in March, so yeah.
So she's going to be 24 in, what is it, March 20th, I think?
Yeah, I think she's March 21st, so she'll be 24.
Yeah, somewhere down there, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, and the other side of that is also, I think she's more mature. In my conversations with her, no, she's no longer, the excited teen. More mature, her head is screwed onto her body. She probably now begins to realize that some of the things that she needs to do to be able to get to that level that she's aspired to for many years is now become necessary, because now she doesn't have that big swath of time anymore as a teenager. She's now approaching mid-20s. Yeah. So I think it's a combination of many things why she's back training with Atto. And I guess only time will tell how successful that renewal of the partnership is going to be. But for the time being, as far as I know, both of them are comfortable with it.
Right. No, I mean, you hope it works out. At 24, you think about it, next year, World Championship year, she'll be 25, 26 going into the Olympics. There's time, right? 1094 I believe is still a PB, so there's some work to be done there. But she's had early international exposure at the senior level, gold medalist at the Olympic Games in Tokyo,
and World Championship silver,
and World Championship silver in Eugene and Budapest, right? So in some form. So there, and also in a space where, obviously the Clayton twins are probably going to establish themselves but it's a new space, right? And you never know how much longer you'll see the likes of a Sharika Jackson and also Elaine Thompson. So there is a time in the cycle, but it's Jamaica. It's not making it. No, it's not St. Kitts. No disrespect, but this is the outside of the
because
US,
look,
and it's the most toughest team to make, So
because you mentioned, of course, the Clayton twins, Sharika Jackson,
Briana Liston too. Yeah.
There's Briana Liston. There's a new arrival. I said new in quotes because Jonielle Smith has looked particularly awesome this season. I hear somebody was on my channel on the comments saying that Tina wasn't running hard. Are you kidding me? You forget what happened in Stockholm.
Yeah.
Where Tina and Tia got up before her.
Right.
And she ran past both of them. So this is not the first time she's doing this. And I'm telling you, I would be surprised if Jonielle Smith doesn't run sub-11 early in the season. I'm probably trending towards 10-8 by the time the business end of the season comes along in some of the Diamond League meets. Because when I saw her on Saturday, that's one of the reasons why I went to the Gibson Relays. I wanted to see her up close. I talked to her on the phone, but on the phone is a different thing from when you're seeing somebody up close and in person. She looks a lot stronger. You can see the physical changes in her body because she wasn't able to lift for a few years because of back injury that she had from 2019 with that car accident.
Mm-hmm.
It's 3-2 now. Nicaragua just scored 8 minutes left. And now she's able to do her cleans again. She's able to do her squats again. So her body's getting stronger. And because she has not had that many races over the last 6 or 7 years, her body is still relatively fresh from the abuse of training that usually happens with athletes when you're at elite level.
Right.
And when you saw what was impressive to me on the weekend was, as she explained it to me, she has a tendency when the starter says set, she has a tendency to roll into a slow set. And she got caught. So by the time she was at the top end of her set, the gun went. So she got caught in the blocks. And with Tina Clayton pulling away and Lavanya, what's her name, Williams running, she run them down. It's hard. People don't know how hard it is to run somebody down at 16. And she ran them down. And they were like a stride and a half behind and ran them down and won in 7:07. So she's about to take off. I think I did a video on it a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
She's looking like she could be. And we saw her. I mean, look, this is from last year. Remember, she ran down Sha'Carri
at the World Championships. Relay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Johnny has always been a warrior when it comes to the relays, but as an individual athlete, because she has some success in her. She won CSCs. She won NACAC.
Yeah.
This is one of the reasons why people are wondering why she didn't get a bye last year. But the regional thing that doesn't count as part of the qualification, the criteria for a bye. But so she's coming back, and her mentality is what I think makes her most dangerous, because she doesn't have any quit in her at all. Right. So if she gets into the outdoor season with the confidence that I'm seeing from her so far, she's run 4 6s this year.
Yeah.
She was second at GC Foster to Tia Clayton. She won in Stockholm, she won in Germany, and then she won again on the weekend. I think Johnny is going to be, you're right, objectively, she's hungry. Yeah. She's had, she was pretty solid at Auburn, pretty solid at Wolmer's. Remember, people like Shauna Helps, and she were there, and then Shauna's gone. So the reality is that I think she recognizes, having turned 30 earlier this year in January, I think it was. She's looking now at trying to make up for lost time, and she's hungry. And I think that, plus the fact that she's healthy now for the first time in years, she's going to be dangerous.
No, she's super talented, and I think we often forget about that because of what happened in terms of the injuries and all of that stuff. And then because Jamaica has this luxury of top class women sprinters for a while, you don't really you miss it. But she is there. Mm-hmm. Dynamics is saying she's in 10-8 form. Objectivity is also saying 10-8 very possible. And I guess he's saying sprinters that also are slow risers have some issues there. So we'll see. No, but I hope she does well. It would be good if she goes to the Commonwealth Games and reestablish her career there.
I'm hoping that she probably go, because it would be an opportunity for her to test herself before a major year comes up next year. Because look, her acceleration and her top end speed are top tier. That speed that I saw from her Saturday was, I'm trackside, and I couldn't believe when I saw her got up. I was like, okay, she did. But to see her close, she closing an athlete that ran 10:76 last year,
Right.
I run 7:08 and last on the line here. So kudos to her.
No, she looks good. Looking good all season, and she, if I remember correctly, she was also a part of that late arrival in Stockholm, right? Along with Thompson and the Clayton twins, I guess. Since you're in Gibson, and let's go to the men's 60. Kishane Thompson clocking 6:46. Bryan Levell. I want to see 100 meters soon, Leighton, but in due time, 6:47, and Akeem Blake 6:48.
6:48.
Yeah.
Listen, Bryan Levell is clearly working on his start, and he's not close to be there yet. But to see how Bryan Levell closed on those last 10 meters, if that was 100, Bryan is passing by 70. So I'm thinking, as I said to a friend of mine on Saturday, actually John Jones. I don't know if people know who John Jones is. Big time at Nebraska University. And of course he was at Knox, won virtually everything, won at Carifta. I think they even named an award after him at Carifta after a while. I said to John, it looks like the dawning of a new era. Because look, this is not to disrespect Oblique, and this is not to disrespect Kishan. But remember, for about 2-3 years, Asafa Pori was king of the roost. And then Bull came along. You saw a glimpse of it in 2007 when he was second in Osaka. And in 2008. I think something similar might be happening here with Bryan Levell, where Oblique is world champion and Kishan is a 2-time silver medalist now, world championship and the Olympics. But if what Shaniki Osborne is doing with this kid plays out in the way in which they want, he could be the man to beat by next year. Because 647, remember, Bryan is not a...
He's a terrible starter, if we want to put it nicely.
Yeah, I was trying to find the right phrase. He's not a great starter. But here's the thing. People forget that at the World Championships last year, his first 100 was 10.02 now. The only person in history who has ever run a curve faster is who? Usain Leo Bolt, 9.98. So we're seeing signs from Bryan Levell here, little nuggets along the way, that suggest that he could possibly be the next great sprinter. I mean, not to say that Oblique is not great and Kishan is not great, but he could be the man who takes it to another level, where, no pun intended in terms of his last name. But the reality is that he looks like he's ready to run 10.7s this year and maybe 19.5s.
Yeah.
9.7, sorry.
Yeah.
And 19.5s. And by the time he gets to 22 years old and gets into Beijing next year, God knows, as long as he's healthy, what he's possible. Because here's the thing, speed endurance is not going to be an issue for him because he's a 200-meter man. So if he gets his start right and get that first 30 where he wants to, which is probably closer Saturday to what he's ever done before, because he wasn't that bad coming out the first 30 meters. He could probably be somebody who is ready to run 9.7 low this year if Shaniki chooses to. So yeah, it's an exciting time because, as I was saying to a friend of mine there, and he was saying to me, it's a pity he didn't have that bad race at trials, because had he had that, finish in the top 3, Jamaica may have finished 1, 2, 3 in Tokyo last year.
Right.
So but he's scary good, and he's clearly a lot more muscle now. You can see the power.
Yeah.
I mean, year before that, he was kind of still thin. When you look at his shoulders now, and look at his legs now, he's a beast. And I think
he is. I remember looking at him up close at Penn Relays a few years ago, and I think it was his final year at where we went to school, Edwin Allen, right? Yeah, and it's a shadow of a figure right there, and you see there's room for even more improvement. He's a lad. Imagine what happens, and we must not forget, he goes to major championships and he walks away with a big medal, right, and a
big PB
time.
too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he's putting himself.
10.8, 10.8, then 10.7, then 10.6.
Yeah.
So I mean, you have to really wonder what he's capable of, because I think only beginning to just tap into his full potential. So
Right.
I mean, LA is still 2 years old. It's a long time for many things can happen in that time. But if he continues to progress at this current rate, obviously, he could be the man to beat in LA in 28.
Yeah, we'll wait to see. I think objective is to say he's dreaming for a 1, 2, 3 for both. He's dreaming for 1, 2, 3 for both men and women. That's a lot of dreaming there. I don't know if I can go that far yet.
The woman is going to be hard.
Yeah, that's going to be
because you're going to look. Sha'Carri, after all her troubles and all her issues she had last year, she's still 25 years old, and she's still as good. I know she had injury issues last year that significantly impacted her training last year, which is one of the reasons why she looks so terrible. You know, even up to World, there was just not enough time for her to get back to her best. But Melissa Jefferson 10:61, Chakari 10:65. I don't know if Sharika is going to be able to get back here. Who knows? Maybe. So that's 10:65. So
she ran a lead-off leg this weekend too, right? At Gibson.
But she wasn't particularly convincing in that opening leg. But it's I think it was our first race of the season, so I won't read too much into that.
Right.
But Jamaica get 1, 2, 3. There are too many women out there right now. JC Sears, who is on the verge of coming back.
It's really hard to see how many women can beat Julian Alfred and Melissa Jefferson Wooden. That's just like hard. It's in any world we wouldn't even be thinking about that. Yeah, I'm still here. You're not hearing me? Leighton?
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but the women, I don't think the women are going to be going anywhere right now. The reality is that I think the men though, Oblique and Kishin and Brian are possibly the next freight that's off of Bolt and Nesta Carter in terms of that ability to go 1, 2, 3 at the middle championship, because right now potentially all three can go 9-6. That's how I see it.
Right.
But for the women it's a little bit more challenging. I think Briana Liston is a year or two away from being, the athlete that we want her to be. The Clayton twins are perhaps a year away. And then there's Julian Alfred as well. So
it's just as I was saying before, I think he got cut out. It's very hard to look beyond Alfred and Melissa Jefferson Wooden if they stay consistently healthy. We wouldn't be having this conversation. So unless the other women can step up in ways that we haven't seen, that's going to be a hard thing. I want to touch more on some more sprinting stuff and some interesting things that's been happening. But, we talk everything track and field. So I want to go back quickly and talk about the women's shot put. I don't know how much of it you've been watching this season, Leighton, but I think it's heating up in a very nice way. I think Jessica Schilder, she's been on fire all season. And I think she threw a 20.49 on February 13 for the world lead. She followed that up a couple days ago with a 20.43. Then the Olympic champion that has not necessarily been having good throws since the Paris Olympics, Yemisi's Ogunleye, 20.37. And then, we had a 20.27 from Sierra Mitten. But at the U.S. National Championships, Chase Jackson, I believe, stepped up in a big way. 20.44, second longest throw in the world this year. It's an American record, an era record. That's a massive statement, I think. And going into the World Championships, we're looking at potentially 3-4 women that could give you a mid 20 meter throws, which is really big time.
Yeah, well, in my apologies, because I haven't seen much shot put since season.
Right.
So, but the reality is that the names that you all mentioned are those people who have always been a part of the conversation.
Right.
But Schilder, what I do know about what Schilder has made incremental improvements over the last 2 or 3 seasons without being consistent enough.
Right.
But maybe this is her year, or maybe from this year onward is her year.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, but I honestly, I'm at a disadvantage right now. I have to admit, I haven't been following the shot put as much as this season, so I can't really speak with any authority.
Yeah, no problem. But I'm excited for it. I think when we get to the championships, we'll realize that unless the women drop off by the time we get to Poland in a few weeks, which I strongly doubt, it might be one of the events that we have to look at, because we might get a 2050 or better, and that's speaking a lot to us when we think about where women's shot putters. One more in
and that puts that.
Yeah, go ahead.
That puts Danielle Thomas down at a distinct advantage.
Oh,
They threw 1930 so far this season, but the field has moved on, I think.
Yeah, the women are throwing big. You have to be in 20 and above, and it's a special place to be.
Let me just respond to objectivity here. The plan is actually for her to be ready by 2028. That's what I'm told. That the process that started last season when she joined Lance Brahman at Pure Athletics, the plan is for her to be ready for 2028. So between now and then, I think they're probably going to be a little bit more strategic about what she runs and where she runs.
Right.
And then to get her ready for LA, because by then I think they think she'll be ready to really take on all the big guys. And I'm not quite sure if it's going to be the 100 or the 200, but whichever event it is, the plan is for 2028.
All right. Thanks everyone for joining us so far. There was a couple I missed on your channel too. I think Jules 876 has said he wished Briana the best. I think this is Sankofa 91 says Bryan Levell is definitely an exciting prospect for this season. May he fulfill his potential. And over here again, we're seeing the same. I think Clip is saying that no one is eager than him to see Liston over 100 meters.
Yeah.
So we're all there. We're all there for sure.
Yeah, I think we all are actually. I think given the talent that we've seen from her, from she was at Heidel. Yeah. You remember the story from, was it about 20? I remember it was when she was in high school, when she was like a child. A number of British papers had come to the champs in Jamaica to watch champs, and everyone of them came here and wrote this story about the next Usain Bolt.
Right.
And that person was Briana Liston. She was like 12 years old.
Yeah.
And she had broken some records and everything. And they were all excited about her. And it seems as if that thinking is still very strong as it relates to her, notwithstanding the injury issues that she's had. Because people forget that she was on that 4x1 team, that under 20 team that ran a world record at character that was then not ratified because the doping control officers didn't test Tina Clayton after the race, but they had tested her the day before, so they didn't think it was necessary to test her again.
Which is unbelievable. We don't want to rehash that. Luckily, they broke it again, right?
They broke it again
at the World Honor 20.
Yeah, because there were 100th of a second slow, because Tana ran was 42.58 in Jamaica. They ran 42.59 in Cali, Colombia.
Right.
Yeah. But we are looking forward to seeing Liston, become the athletes that we all believe that she can get to.
Yeah. I see Brian just coming in. We did spend some time talking about the pole vault and Emmanuel Corrales as well. So, you can catch that back on the rebroadcasts. I want to say something in the high jump too, because this week as well, we saw Angelina Topic going 2 meters, 20, still only 20. We know she big time talent. She had injuries a couple of years ago. I think it was a couple of seasons ago. She had an injury, and coached by our dad as well, former athlete there. I believe he still has the Serbian national record in the high jump. I haven't checked recently, but super talented Leighton, and I like to see those 2 meter clubs for women, because we know there's a few women that can do that, and you put her up against the Australians and Yaroslava Manuchik as well. This is good. Yeah,
man. And look, and it's when you remember we were talking a few weeks ago about women getting back to that level where we've seen these kind of quality performances, and I think what we're seeing now is a new generation of young jumpers coming through strong.
Right.
Let me just add as well that Lamar Diston is getting back again, 1.96 meters. Yeah. Just last weekend as well. So she jumped 192, 194, now 196. She's getting back to her best, which is 2 meters as well, Jamaican national record. The only Caribbean woman to clear 2 meters. So it's good to see her back. When she cleared up 1.96 meters, she had enough. She had air between her and the bar. So maybe she's trending back towards 2 meters as well. So that brings into the whole environment, the whole ecosphere of the quality jumpers. Because look, not since why is it the name that jumped out of my head a while ago? Grey-eyed beauty that had the record before Mahukic broke it. Croatia.
Castaneda. What's her name again? I know what you're talking about. I'll remember in a second. Yeah.
So it's good to see, and the women jumping through, because even the last two major championships, the quality was really good in the high jump.
Oh, it was.
So when it's a woman over 2 meters, sorry, and so that's what I want to see more of. 192 is fine, 195 is fine, but 2 meters is where the creme de la creme, the cream starts to really rise to the top.
Right. Yeah, it's Kostadina Nova, the Bulgarian athlete. She had a record before. Yeah, I was just messing it up. Yeah. Then Yaroslava did the 210 a couple years ago in July of 2024. So, no, it is good, and I want Diston to do well. And speaking of Diston, I did learn something from one of your recent interviews where you were talking about, was it Western Championships, when you had Neil Harrison and forgot the other guy
Andre
from Mount Alverna. Yeah, and her brother is still in high school, right? So
he's at Stets. He won in 2 meters at Western Champs. Right. Yeah, so Santini Diston.
Yeah, so the jump is in the family. Speaking, before we leave the jump, I'm sure you've seen this. I mean, we've been talking about Sarah Burakov this season, who I've already gone 8:45 in the long jump. I think he has a couple other 8:4s as well. But this weekend at the Bulgarian Championships, the guy decides to go do high jump, and he jumps a personal best of 2 meters 28. I didn't even realize he had that in his locker.
Listen, and he does a triple as well.
Triple jump too. Yeah.
The normal. I mean, when I saw it, I'm like, what you want to do, boss? Because he's clearly a jumper, huh?
Right.
But it's almost as if there's nothing he can't do. He's one of those really exciting, perplexing athletes, because what is he going to eventually settle down in? Is he going to do all three of them because he's a good triple jumper, he's a good long jumper, he's a good high jumper? Right. It's the same thing with Diston as well, actually. Yeah. It does everything, it jumps. But but this guy's freakish. How tall is he? He's pretty tall as well.
Yeah, he looks pretty tall. I'm not quite sure how tall is he, but he is rather. But he is really good. I mean, 228, and if he works at it, I think he can go like 232, 230. And if you start going above that in the modern era right now, I guess with the changing of the guards in the high jump, you never know, right? You just never know if you could get a medal at a major championships. I don't know.
You know who I miss though? I miss Bondarenko.
Yeah, special guy. Yeah.
When Himantine was going at it in the high jump, boy, 243s, 241s, 239s. Yeah, I miss those things.
Barshim is done now in terms of it.
Yeah, Barshim has too many injuries. But when he and Bondarenko were at their peak a few years ago, that was exciting to watch both of them go at it. It was ridiculous.
And same for the Italian guy. So, I mean, there's a couple guys still around. There's some 237 guys that can work in that space, but the high jump has fallen off a little bit. Maybe people will come back at some point. Yeah. Some other interesting stuff there. Georgia Hunter Bell deciding to run at 800 meters in
157.
Scotland. 157.8. She looked really smooth. We're not surprised, if we've seen we saw things from Keeley. We saw her over 1500.
51.4.
I believe at the same meet as well. So, they're looking good. Hutchinson, your thoughts on Hunter Bell? I think she looks smooth. We know she's a 154 runner already over 800 meters outdoor. I imagine they're going to be quicker this year as well. But Keeley running 51 over 400 meters looks solid. It's not. I'm not sure. It got me out of my seat, to be honest with you. But she's not the kind of sprinter athlete, so.
Yeah.
But it looked good. Yeah.
But here, yeah, she did look good because she dominated the field.
Yeah.
And 51.4 tells you that she has the speed. Remember, she said she wants to tackle the world record this year.
Yeah.
So 51.4 tells you that she has the speed to really go for the world record. 155.28, 153.28 is the world record.
Yeah.
You and I had this conversation about, running the longer stretches outdoors and fewer corners. This 400 tells you that she's probably ready for run 50 outdoors as well.
Yeah.
So that additional speed, that's something that she's probably working on to say, okay, let me see how fast I can go. Let me see what I have left in the tank to go the other lap.
Right.
And then work with a strategy to see what she needs to split at the first 400 for her to go to 800 workout. So this was probably a good thing. She looks, one of the things that, and she looked really strong, especially closing. It wasn't like she was fading or anything. She was still running. So it's a good look for her. So she can probably split 55 without much effort and come home in, what's the math? 55.
We were working it. I think if you do 55.3 or 55.6 or so, it might be on course. It depends.
57.
Yeah. But
I doing the math now.
I did it the other day. I don't know why my head is all over the place, but
yeah, 153 is what? 113 seconds.
No,
yeah. So
get me on the math.
Yeah. 57. Yeah. So she split 55 and come on 57 and change, and she gets the world record.
Yeah.
And based on what we saw on Saturday, or was it yesterday? I remember that weekend.
I think she did 155.56. She did 55.56 in the indoor the other day. So she certainly can go much quicker than that outdoors. And I think 155.3 or even not 55.3 or better will happen. And look, I think the world record, if they're going to assault the world record, I think they're going to do it at Nike Prefontaine because they've assembled the same lineup from the from last year, rather, the World Championships. So they're spending big out there. Oregon is a nice place to do it. If it's going to be July 4th weekend, so it might be warm and nice. Yeah.
And that track is quick. I mean, people have their own opinions about that track, but that track is quick.
No, it's one of the better surfaces, yeah.
Yeah, and the thing about it has all of that breeze coming through the trees. Yeah. Whether it's helpful or not is one way or the other. But the thing is that right now, Keely looks like she's planning on a legitimate assault on the outdoor record. And the 400, the 51.4, the indoor 154. She's clearly in the shape of her life now. And so strike while the iron is hot, and you can't really you can't begrudge her the opportunity of going for the world record that has stood for God knows how long now.
Yeah, since 83? 83, yeah.
It's 83, I think.
Yeah, something
that's
like
almost 50 years.
Not quite 40 something. Yeah, but it has to go. It has to go, Leighton, for a number of reasons. We don't want to kind of go over that tonight again, but we have to get her to go. I think it could go if the conditions are right, as we talked about too. I think the drafting, if it's done right, and she will have the pacers there, she'll have the wave light, and we'll see what happens. They're gonna push it. I think they're gonna put a clock at 152, and then if she can stick with that, then you never know what will happen there.
Yeah, because especially if she has company, who will push her, and she can help her pace. Not necessarily a pace. I'm talking about Vero and Duguma. Who else is out there?
I think Lilian Nadara will be in the race. I think Hunter Bell should be there. You get those. You get Cedar Disco if you want. You could if you get Tejas in the race as well. The qualities there. You're talking about women at 155 quality and better, up three 154 women already. So if they do it the right way, I think someone will push for it, and you get the right pacer. I think it should be good.
It's possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that because I like Keely because I think she's one of those athletes where she doesn't talk very often, but when she talks, you listen because she doesn't waste her words and it's not hyperbole for her. It's intent. Yeah? And I like that about her as well. So, we'll see.
Yeah. No, it's good. We saw some other good stuff last weekend. We can just wrap up a few things before we get out here. We saw that 20.06 from the kid from USC over 200 meters. Yeah.
That's like what, number 3 all the time?
Yeah, that is a big performance there. And I hate myself because I should have gone to see that in person, but I was doing some other stuff, so I missed out on that. But he
one fast dog. I'm like, yo.
Yeah.
And the thing is that he runs, you can see his speed.
Yeah.
In terms of how effortless he looks doing it. When I saw the time, I was like, what? I was like, Frankie Fredericks. I like Frankie Fredericks in that trouble.
Yeah.
But 20.06 is quick indoors. It's quick anywhere actually.
It's quick anywhere for sure, and it's certainly good there.
But indoors, for real. And look, Frankie's record was set 30 years ago in '96, I think.
Yeah.
So who knows? Let's see one of these kids try and challenge it. 20.06 is not that far away. So who knows? But it's exciting.
People will go after it. It's just that the luster in the 200 is just not there because it's not they don't run it at the World Indoors for obvious reasons. But yeah, we'll see. It's still a good race to watch. Aaliyah Armstrong Leighton, 60-meter champion. No, I think she has. I don't think she has a sponsor, right? Does she?
I am not sure. I know and Alicia Johnson might not be sponsored.
Yeah. So looking good there. Yeah.
What was it? 682 or what was it? 680. What was it? 782. Sorry.
Yeah, it was 782, and I think there was like a 792 in the race and 798 for, I believe, as well. Yeah, for Amber Hughes in the race as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This chick named Marshall, was it? Who came second?
In the US, I think it was Dyer, right? Was it Dyer?
I'm trying to remember the placings now. Yeah, because there's so much information that I'm still processing on the weekend.
My head is there. I have it over here. Let me see if I find it. I think it was that because I think Alicia Johnson was disqualified for a false start, if my memory serves me correct. There was so much track and field to go through. And even though we talked about Sears, we didn't even talk about Mia Maxwell there, 716 as well. Was it? Yeah. No, not Mia Max. Where is this? I have this on the wrong thing. Was it Maxwell who ran 7? That was in the... I'm looking at the wrong...
Marshall. Marshall's your name?
Marshall, rather. Yeah. It was 704 for Sears. We talked about that, but Maxwell ran 713 and her sister ran 714, the twins. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that 713 might be a U18 record. I have to check, to be honest with you. Yeah. But in the 60-meter hurdles, I have to look for that again. That was on Saturday, right? It was Armstrong 782, Dyer 792, and Amber Hughes 798. And Johnson was DQ'd for false starting, I remember.
Yeah, I was looking for the results here because I was trying to remember. Because I'm doing some videos tomorrow and I was trying to process everything today because... there's so much was going on over the weekend.
Yeah, we've talked about it. I haven't seen anything that has changed my mind from where we discussed the last time with the likes of Charlton and so on for the 60 meters. But the Americans can always come strong there. I think if we were to just finish up on the thing at the American Championships that was a big surprise to me was Nathan Green winning the 1500 meters, beating the likes of Yared Naguse and Cole Hocker there. I mean, it was interesting. I didn't even know.
As you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Is Naguse regressing? You think?
It has to be because this season he has not done anything that made me feel like he's making up for what we saw last year, right? So he didn't make the U.S. Championships last year. He had an opportunity to go by winning the Diamond League final, which he didn't. and he wasn't there. I don't know what's happening with Yared. I don't know if he's been struggling with any with niggles here and there, but wasn't a good season for him. Same like for Bryce Hopper last year. So
Yeah.
we'll see. It's not it's interesting as I guess the same way we think about Noah Lyles or most Americans this year. It's not a championship year, so there's not really anything to prove for those guys. I imagine they just need to run diamond leagues and maybe ultimate championship for sure.
Yeah.
And,
but Green's 1500 was was good. I actually saw that race.
yeah.
It was close, but it was good. I mean, I think he won by what, 200th of a second or something.
Yeah, it was very close.
Yeah, went on to the line, but
yeah, it was.
But
he edged out
I mean,
Hauser, yeah.
Yeah, it was a good, but it was a good race. It was exciting to watch. One of the things I like about middle distances and the longer distances as well, I think I mentioned it before, is the strategy, tactics that are used, and how people draft off others and then use that to their advantage and stuff. I like all of that. It's like a chess game on the track. I like watching that.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah.
Tia, I don't know if Tia is healthy or not. I have nothing to suggest that she is, but I also have nothing to say that she isn't. We saw her last at GC Foster a few weeks ago. I don't recall seeing her since. No, she ran on Saturday.
Yeah, she was there on Saturday. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, I think both Clintons ran on Saturday. It was Sharika to the two Clintons, and then Johnny took it home.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I have to check, but I'm almost certain she ran on Saturday. The fun thing about that race, I saw that race on video because while I was getting into the stadium was when that race was being run. So yeah, but I think she did run. I'm almost certain she did. But I can't check on camera, but I think she's fine. I don't think there's anything to suggest that she isn't.
All right, Leighton, we've been at it for over an hour or so, and you're a tired guy. We're both tired here. I just want to end by shouting out the marathon season started. I don't know if people are into the marathon, but Bridget Koskai reclaimed her Tokyo marathon crown, 2:14:29, I believe. That's the 7th fastest time in history. And Takele also defended his marathon race, 2:03:37. So the big things that happen on the road as well, you have to stay up on that, because road running is where the money is, and we talked about it before. Leighton, the Jamaicans need to start running a lot of distances because there's money to be made there.
Money to be made.
Yeah, there's some comments on your channel that you can to.
Oh yeah, Marvin. It's true. You, Jodine. Sorry. Objectivity was saying some things. It was Jodine who ran. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Williams.
Let me find out, because now that you mention it, the last time she ran was at GC Foster when she once ran into at 7:02 and beat Jonielle Smith. Yeah. Thanks for bringing that to my attention.
Because the baton exchange from Jackson to
Jodine
to Williams was really bad, right? Yeah.
It was. Yeah. Let me check and find out. Yeah.
Yeah, Winston Wilcox.
I didn't see the race.
Confirming that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll check, because I said I didn't see that race, because when I was coming through the gate, when the security guard was looking into my bag and seeing didn't have any guns in there, I I heard the race go off. I literally rushed down and went up the stairs in time to catch the start of the men's 4x1. Oblique Seville running off and lead off and look good for somebody who is in nowhere close to the shape that he's going to be later on this season. Yeah, but let me check and find out objectivity. And thanks for bringing it to my attention. I'm gonna check and find out if she's healthy. Because if she was not there, that means she would not have competed for more than a month. No, because she did run in Stockholm.
Yeah,
both twins ran in Stockholm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, so let me check and find out what that situation is. The next live, if we can do it in the next couple, maybe next week, or maybe I don't know, maybe later on this week, depending on what happens. Yeah. I will find out and let you know. But thanks for bringing it to my attention, because I actually, in my mind, it was both of them that ran on Saturday, but I didn't see the race. So, I'm speaking from a position of ignorance.
Yeah, and
So
I watched the race and
let me check.
I forgot that as well. Yeah. Although I have to say I've been upset with Television Jamaica's one spot coverage because it was just sticking the whole time. Where I
Yeah,
don't
well,
know what's, yeah.
a lot is going to change. I don't know if you guys have heard the news, but there's a lot going on at RJR Group. They're cutting out two Power 106 and I think hits are going to be absorbed into Fame and what's the other station? They're cutting down from 4 stations to 2 stations, and there's a lot of streamlining going on. And because I know the RJR Group is in a lot of financial trouble. I think they're, in terms of Jamaican dollars, there have been about $800 million in debt. Yeah. So bring back sports back here. Tell that little man on digital. Yeah. No, media across the world.
Yeah,
Legacy media is struggling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Money not. I mean, I just saw a survey recently where young kids don't even watch TV anymore.
Right.
12 to 14, I think. I think they get their stuff from YouTube and TikTok and Discord, and nobody reads newspapers anymore. This is in Jamaica we're talking about. A recent survey just came out, and it gave us some very frightening information. If you're in legacy media like I used to be, it's
tough. I mean, when you see what was happening here in the States with the Washington Post just recently getting rid of the sports department and all that stuff, and it's not like Bezos doesn't have that in his back pocket to pay for it. So it's also another question of what they're doing to one of the great institutions.
Bezos, them intention is something else. I even want to get into that, but
we won't we won't finish that tonight. But guys, it was really good having you on both channels as usual. You know, Leighton and I come on together. So if you haven't subscribed to our channel, make sure you subscribe to Leighton's channel, to mine. Stay in touch. There's a lot of videos. I'm sure Leighton probably dropped 2 or 3 videos before you wake up tomorrow. I'm just joking.
I plan to drop 2 tomorrow. I have a monologue from the weekend, and the guys who follow my channel will probably see. I did an interview a few months ago with this young girl called Abigail Richards. She's coming to character trials this weekend, coming on March 6th to 8th. So I did a quick thing with her yesterday. Yeah. I'm going to
this
publish
weekend
that
is
tomorrow
character trials in Jamaica.
Yeah, March 6th to 8th. Yeah. So I'm gonna put up those 2 videos tomorrow, and then there is I don't want to jinx it, but I have a interview with a talented young sprinter from Western Jamaica coming up. That is scheduled for tomorrow night, so that should be out on the channel by Thursday. Yeah. Right. So yeah.
Cool. Well, I probably will miss most of the character trim. I think I'll be in Tennessee this weekend, but we'll touch base for sure. Leighton and next week, as usual. Basically, we've been live every week, so we'll do what we can to come back next week, guys. Yeah. All right. Take care, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.
All right. Take it easy. Bye bye. Night, guys.